We have with us today 3 projects, but we have 8 of the cities that are the winners of the first global edition of the Global Mayors Challenge. So we have this session because we have learned so much from this experience. This is a project by Bloomberg Philanthropies, and it has been a privilege to work with them, not easy. A learning process for all, but I think we have created a small family now, so as everywhere in the family, some days are better than others, but there is a lot of love. But it has been really a challenge. But here we are. We started in 2021, and now we can really show results and outcomes and impact in the lives of people, and we're really very happy about it as UNDP. I leave the session to be moderated by Aparna Ramanan. She's our counterpart, lead of the Global Mayors Challenge at Bloomberg Philanthropies. So the session is yours, Aparna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana. You made it sound so fun working with me. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from lunch. We have the task of keeping you awake. So please, if you need to stand in the back, do whatever you need to. I understand that coming back from lunch is always the hardest session. But what we're going to do today is, I like to think of as story time from cities. Right? So Diana's mentioned the Mayor's Challenge a few times. The Mayor's Challenge is an innovation competition that we run at Bloomberg Philanthropies. We started doing it back in 2013 before there really were innovation competitions for cities. And we did it because our founder, Mike Bloomberg, is a 3-term mayor of New York City, and he believes deeply in the promise of innovation at the city level. He believes that when mayors and city leaders put their mind to something, they can actually improve the lives of the people and the residents who live in their cities. So that's really where the initiative comes from. And in 2021, we had the pleasure of going global for the first time. Previously, we had always worked regionally or had a group of winners just in Europe or just in Latin America or just in the US. And we had our first cohort of 15 winners, of which you're going to hear 3 stories today. One thing we care a lot about at the Mayor's Challenge is impact, right? The ideas are all well and good, but how do they actually benefit the lives of the people in the cities who we're working with? And so that will be my push and my charge to all of our panelists today, is to focus on the impact. And if they don't do it enough, you all can ask questions about it. Yeah. So with that, I have 3 panelists with me who, more than panelists, I would say, are friends. The first is Bevan Tom, who's the project supervisor from the city of Raukela. The municipal commissioner mentioned earlier he was going to speak about the project, so you'll get to hear that now. He'll be followed by Joshua Tete Norte, who's the project supervisor from the city of Kumasi in Ghana. And then finally, Angela Portola is going to bring us home to Bogota and tell us a little bit about her project and the work there also with women, so continuing the gender lens a little bit. Actually, all 3 of the projects have a bit of that spin as well. So you're going to hear about livelihoods, more livelihoods, dignity, and opportunity for people. Does that sound, yeah? Okay, so with that, I'm going to pass to Bevan to take us to India first. And we'll go from there.
Thank you, Aparna. So let's go to Raukela first. Is it changing? Any idea, Catherine? Yeah, okay, now. So what we have done in Raukela is that we have developed cold storage system and across 5 markets across the city. And the primary objective is to increase the shelf life of vegetables for farmers and vendors, and thereby reducing distress selling. Okay. So the farmers in Raukela faced difficult conditions in managing their crops and selling it. So one of the biggest problems is that they live in the outskirts of the city, like 20 to 40 kilometers, so they're a bit far from the city. So they have to travel long distance bringing the vegetables to the city. And they are low-scale farmers, so they don't grow a big amount of vegetables. So they don't have a decision-making power while selling the items. So they are forced by middlemen on the price. And otherwise, they bring these vegetables to the market and sell it sitting in the market. The whole day they would be spending in the market. And by the end of the market day, they are forced to sell off their produce at low price. That's what we call distress selling. And it's mainly because they didn't have a place to store their vegetables after they leave. And these producers like tomatoes, cabbage, they just have like 3 to 5 days of shelf life. So the next day, the quality of the produce comes down. As a solution to this problem, we came up with the first solution. We built the infrastructure. So as I told before, these are solar powered. We made it solar powered because one of the drawback of existing cold rooms is that once they're powered by grid, the cost of electricity was very high. So to reduce that, we made it solar powered, thereby reducing the operational expenses to make it more sustainable. And each cold room is in a market where the farmers and vendors come to sell the produce. So each cold rooms are being used by around 120 to 160 farmers. And we also made it like 3 independent cooling chambers. So different cooling chambers for different temperature for different vegetables. One for fruits, one for like banana, one for like capsicum. So different cooling chambers. And we also included like 5-year maintenance agreement so that the infrastructure is well maintained throughout the. And we charge very minimal. So it's cooling as a service. So we charge like 3 cents per 15 kg of vegetables. So it's a very minimal amount for the farmers. And they store like tomatoes, cabbage, fruits, like apples, banana in the cooling chamber. So our first solution is put up the infrastructure. And what do we do with infrastructure? So that's something unique with compared to other cold room projects. Our projects are run by women groups, women self-help group, which we were earlier told about. And we just didn't employ women and leave the project. We gave them training and capacity building. So each of these women were given technical and management training, as he was telling before, like accounts, how to maintain the cold room, how to do the businesses. So what we have created essentially here is entrepreneurs who are able to make decisions on their own, like business decisions, and run the business. And so these women are from the community, from Rourkela itself, and owned by the Rourkela Municipal Corporation, make sure that the project runs a sustainable way. So if the performance of the women are not good enough, so the municipality would change them. So that would make sure that the project performs well. And our third action is that one problem with the cold room is that they are seasonal. Rourkela doesn't grow the crops all throughout the year. So when it comes to summer, there is drought, so the production reduces. So to make sure that the project runs throughout the year, we have diversified the income sources. So next to the cold room, so first is the income from the cold room. Then we have a shop next to the cold room called Equal Bazaar. So in that shop, people sell, the women sell organic food items, handicrafts from the other SDGs, so supporting other SDGs from the state, Odisha, and from the city. And another thing they do is that they collect vegetables, do bulk aggregation of vegetables from different farmers and vendors, and sell it to hotels, thereby creating a more demand, because as I told earlier, they are small-scale farmers. They cannot go to one hotel and tell that, take my vegetables here. So with women in the middle, our farmers are able to sell these vegetables to the hotels and big institutions. So, and here we are mainly addressing 2 SDG goals. First is zero hunger. So if you look, nowadays farming has become not a a bright economic opportunity. Many people are leaving it because it doesn't make economic sense. So unless we don't cater to the needs of the farmers, the new generation, young generation won't be doing the farming. And second, with gender equality, as I told, we have 5 self-help groups, so around 25 to 30 women are working in this project. They have become entrepreneurs. Their skills have improved. They're standing on their own, and thereby increasing gender equality. And this is one of our pilot project. Her name is Mrs. Tulasi Das. So, as told before, they are coming from a very low social economic background. They were, as said before, semi-illiterate. They just know Odia and Hindi, and they have not been to school. So, as you see here, she is operating the computer by her own. She's making bills for the customer. She's engaging with hotels, you know. They're doing business. So that much amount of capacity building and skill training have been given to these women, and they have become entrepreneurs. And there is a seal in them, you know. And they understand the impact they have on the society with the cold room, reaching out to farmers, improving their economic conditions of the farmers, and so on. And these are a few other examples we have. So first one is a farmer, his name is Savana Mahato. So we asked them, like, why do you work with this project? So his point was, like, he's coming far from the city. So whenever he's not able to sell his produce, he has to take it back. So with the cold room, he's using the cold room as a buffer to store his vegetables. And the quality of the produce is not going down. And he's able to save transportation costs. And second is a farmer, is a vendor, actually. So in an earlier situation, his beetroots and carrots would stay only for 5 days. Now he can store it for 30 days. Thereby, you know, there is price fluctuation. So he can buy at a low price and store it in the cold room and sell it off at a higher price later. And finally, our women. So our women are currently making a profit of 90,000 rupees per month from the cold room. So that is a big achievement in terms of their economic conditions. So earlier they were making only like 20,000. So they've improved. They are making a lot of money with the project. Thank you.
Okay, Angela, I see you've been taking notes. Do you have any questions for Bevan?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. My question is related to two examples you gave. The women you referred to, they sell in markets, in local markets. Is there any like physical facility where people can buy this production besides the local markets you referred to? Are there any other places where they can sell the product thanks to the project? And also, I would like to ask you about social benefits. Does the project come with any extra social benefit for them?
Yeah. So along with the project, we have an electric rickshaw. So that serves, that takes the vegetables and go to different places and sells vegetables to the consumers. So we do delivery to residents, especially senior citizens who cannot come to the market. So that's one way we are taking the market to houses. And there are a lot of intangible benefits. So as I told before, the farmers come from long places. They come with very little amount because they don't want to, waste their produces. So what we see is that they have increased their amount of vegetables bringing to the market. And another thing is that we see that they are sitting for a more longer time because they know that even if I cannot sell it, I can store it in the cold room. So like this, a lot of untangible benefits are there with the project.
And what do you mean by social benefits?
El tema de
I would like to know, for example, if these women are insured thanks to participating to this project. Do they have a health insurance, or is there any contribution to a pension fund so that in the future they will receive a pension?
As I told earlier before our commissioner, so once they have become a self-help group, parallelly they are signed up for different government insurance schemes. So like that, they are covered for their health and life insurance. Nothing specifically with the project.
Joshua, any questions?
Yeah, Bedouin, thanks very much. That's a very nice presentation. But what I'm aware is that there are a lot of farmers who are confronted with these post-harvest losses and challenges at the market and the rest. My interest is how were you able to select the first batch to benefit from this project? What criteria do you use in shortlisting the first batch of beneficiaries? The women, those that you've started with, there are a lot of them who are facing these problems, but you started with some number. What criteria did you use in selecting them out of their lot? And secondly, it's very beautiful to present it. What are some of the challenges that you face so that if someone is in the audience and wants to replicate this solution, will be aware that these are some of the challenges that will come my way, and this is how I should prepare to handle them.
So first question is regarding the selection of the women. So Rockland Municipal Corporation did the selection. So we set a criteria like what qualification they should have. Not qualification, but some experience, like have they done some marketing experience? Like, so they were formed before. The self-help group was there before itself, before the project. So have they done some kind of selling? Do they know a little bit of computer or so? Do they know how they are as a team? Have they done projects together? So we had those criteria, and we received, as told, we have 3,000 plus SDGs in Rockland. So we received many applications, and then we interviewed them and chose the best who have applied. And the second question was regarding?
The challenges.
Challenges, yes. I think one big challenge, the commissioner already mentioned, the women have got a lot of responsibilities at home. And so I showed one example of Mrs. Tulasi. So they tried to leave the project like 2 times. Okay, I'm done with the pressure of the project, I have family responsibilities. So we again go back, we go listen to them and tell that, okay, we will help you in this regard, if this is your problem. So whenever they have a problem, they should be free to come to you. And maybe it's with their home or with their kids. So we will give some advice and we will give some support to overcome that challenge. So they tried leaving twice, So we again convinced them. And they are the ones who are making like 90,000 rupees a month, close to $1,000, more than $1,000. So it's a process, actually. And that's where this hand-holding comes in. You've made a cold room, and you cannot just ask somebody, you operate it. They cannot, because they don't know the nuances, and there will be problems, and they should have somebody who could, support them whenever they have challenges. So that should continue. And one more thing I would say is like, so the project. So we started with the pilot project first. So full-scale pilot project. So, and then we found out the challenges with that. And then we scaled up to 4 more, total 5 cold rooms. So pilot project helped us to find the challenges. Like, so in one of the challenges was like finding grid. The grid, we had to put new transformers for the cold room. So that took a lot of time. So we went back for the 4 core rooms as off-grid plus grid. So that reduced, I would suggest is that if we do a pilot project, before scaling up in the full scale, we will be able to find the challenges and solve it and then expand it. That would make it more easier.
Okay, thank you, Bevan. Before we turn to the next city, one thing I'll say that's emerging already as a theme, and I think this builds off of the last panel, is that the process of engaging community is iterative, right? You have to go back again and again and again, and it doesn't matter if you've convinced a group of people one time, you may have to call them back 2 more times. I'm sure Joshua might touch on some of this in Kumasi as well. So over to you, Joshua.
Okay. So my name is Joshua Tetendote. I'm the project supervisor. I'm the project supervisor for the Kumasi Global Mayors Challenge. And we are looking at innovating a sustainable financing for WASH. First, let me give you the geographical location of Kumasi so that we all be on the same page. It's a beautiful green West African city located in Kumasi with a population of about 440,000 residents. But why did our mayor have to think about innovative ways of financing WASH? That's water and sanitation. The sad story of this young boy called Ali is what kept our mayor sleepless night. Ali is a 6-year-old young boy residing in a family of 5 in a very poor urban community in Kumasi, Ghana. Unfortunately, one thing that virtually all of us here in this room takes for granted, which is toilets at our home and washroom, is a big dilemma for this family. Hence, they have to rely on the poorly managed public toilets, and unfortunately, this shack bathhouse. Anytime at all, Ali and the family visit this facility, as we can see, their dignity is being chipped away. So it's a dilemma for the mayor, and he has to find a solution to it. And referring back to the first presentation, that's the golden circle, this is the reason why the mayor have to find a sustainable financing for social services, especially starting with WASH. But how is this going to be achieved, or what is the mayor's target? It's very important also for us to know that this problem facing Ali is not only their household, but we have about 71% of households in this community that are battling with this challenge. Meanwhile, they have a very youthful population from between the ages of 15 to 28, about 9,000, almost half of the population being youthful. So for what the mayor set itself in line with the SDG to install about 400 private toilets in the community and take advantage of the youth by equipping them with the necessary skills so that they will be able to provide such facility. By so doing, he will be contributing to SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, and SDG 8, decent work and growth. This is the game changer that made it possible for the mayor of Kumasi to take the initiative. That's the Global Mayors Challenge. One thing is that the Global Mayors Challenge did not give the mayor only the funds that we need, but provided a very competent technical support from the UNDP and the delivery associates. And they guided the city, and now Ali and the family can boast of this facility. A major transformation in their life. They are no more visiting the public toilet or bathing in that shack bathhouse, but now they have their own bathhouse, their own toilet facility. The picture that I showed earlier was taken 4 years ago in defining our problem, and now Ali is 10 years. He's no more using a can to flush, but now they have a whole flush system. But how did we arrive at this destination? First and foremost, when UNDP and the delivery associates came in, they helped us to know that data is very important. We cannot achieve our goal without having data. So they assisted us with creating a comprehensive database. And they did not let us do it alone. Sometimes they pay us a visit in Kumasi to participate in the exercise. Secondly, coming up with a revolving fund so that this will not just be a subsidy that when the money is finished, the other households who do not have will not be able to get that opportunity. But by setting up a revolving fund, after providing for a lease house will start paying, then that money is invested in another household. By so doing, the money will be revolving, and all households in low-income communities in Kumasi, in Ghana, and in West Africa, and possibly in Africa as well, will have their own wash facilities at their home. Then we involve the community leaders. The reason being that often low-income communities do not have the kind of collateral security that is needed when it comes to banking. And also, they don't have the social safety net. So they rely on their community leaders as their social safety net. So for this project to be successful, we have to involve the community, especially when it comes to the guaranteeing for the loan, because the low-income households do not have what it takes to guarantee their loans. So the community leaders, and here we see the Zongo chief, guaranteeing for the community members who are interested in wash loan. Then when we are done with the project, the community leaders lead in handing over the project and provide the necessary education to the households to make sure that they repay the money within 1 year. To be able to get the community buy into the project, we engage in a very extensive awareness raising and sensitization. So we started with community debates. Then from within the community, we identified some sanitation champions, since they know the community very well, to help us to be able to talk to the household. It's a Muslim community, so it's a very close-knit. And they normally trust their indigents compared to those of us who are coming from outside. So though we had about 12 of them who were by then leading us to this community to win them over and for them to see the need to have household toilet. Then afterwards, we also pay a visit. So now we are at Ali's house, and that's Ali's father, with the engineer and one of the community champions, as well as our behavioral change officer, trying to come up with how we are going to squeeze the wash facility in the household. To be able to make sure that the money that we are using in this project stays within the community, but it's not taken away, we have to train the youth in the community with the necessary skills in the construction of the wash facilities. And our target is to train about 120 of them. So far, we've trained about 45 of them that are assisting the project. And it's not only men, although it's construction, but we make sure that women are also included. To this far, these are the various types of facilities that we'll be able to construct. When it comes to just single cubicle to a digester, we've constructed 14 of them. Then when it comes to 2 cubicles to a digester, depending on the size of the household, we have also constructed 11. Then 9 for 3-in-1. Then when it comes to 4-in-1, like Ali's facility, we've also been able to provide this. In all, so far we've provided 91 washrooms, with 68 of them being toilets and 23 of them being bathrooms. And this we've provided to 41 houses, which 360 households are benefiting. And these are the individuals that are benefiting from this facility. The next question that somebody will ask us is that, how are they paying? How are we faring when it comes to the loan that they've taken? It's interesting to know that we have about 69% repayment rate. And we have one household that has completed payment of the facility that we provided to the household. And we have one who is yet to pay. We are employing all the diplomatic strategies that we could to ensure that he starts paying. To this far, I say thank you very much.
Okay, who am I coming to first? Angela? Okay. Yeah?
Vale, muchas gracias por tu presentación.
Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. It's amazing to see the evolution of Ali's family. And my question has to do with education, training. Where are they trained? Are there like training facilities? And is there any agreement, any partnership? Is the training for free? Is it funded by the project? The training you mentioned, right? To ensure awareness raising and sensibilization campaigns. Thank you. I hope the question was clear.
Yeah, the training is funded by the project. And the capacity building is something that we are equipping them with. so that they will not just use it for the construction of these wash facilities, but even in constructing of houses. So when it happens that way, we've equipped them with the livelihood that they need for the rest of their life. The same applies to the awareness creation and campaign also funded by the project. And the community members who are helping us to be able to reach out to the indigents are also supported with stipends every month. I don't know whether I've answered the question right. Thank you.
My question is regarding the...
Una cosa más.
I have one more question. What about the training facilities? I mean, where do the trainings take place?
No, the physical training is done in the community. So we have a section, indoor training, that they are giving the concept of the whole wash facility, how it started, the evolution, and why we are at this stage. Then when it comes to we have the second component, which involves the actual construction. And that actual construction is done in the community. So there are demonstration facilities that we do, give them the opportunity to practice and share how the knowledge about it.
My question is regarding the revolving fund, like how is it going to revolve? How much money does Ali have to, Ali paid, or is the other one?
Mi pregunta tiene que ver con el préstamo.
Considering, and what are the diplomatic things you're doing to get it done?
So when it comes to the revolving fund, they are low-income communities. And one thing that we observe is that the expenditure pattern indicate that there are certain expenses that they can pay, but they may not be able to pay it upfront. So we get in touch with the banks in the community. There's a rural bank in the community to help the rural bank to know that we are going to provide the loan, but we don't want to give it in the name of the assembly. That's the city council, otherwise they will not pay. So we are routing it through you. No interest rate to the communities. Then two, when it comes to they assessing it, they are not supposed to make any down payment. The reason being that there is another pilot that suggested that they are supposed to make some 10% down payment, and they were discouraged, they never went for it. All that we need is the community chief, that's the community leaders, to endorse. And one thing in that community is that because it's a Muslim community and a very indigenous community, the community leaders wield a lot of power. So when they guarantee for you, there's no way you are going to say that you are not going to pay. They will ensure that you do pay. And the diplomatic means that we've put in place, first and foremost, if anyone should default, we contact the person to explain the consequences of defaulting. Then secondly, if still the person is not paying like this one person, we contact the community leaders to call the person to the chief palace and help the person to know that it's very important that he pays. The reason being that after paying, it's going to be used to build his brother or sister's own. Then when that fails, we inform the bank to serve the person with a demand notice that now all the necessary processes have been kicked and still you are not paying. So now the bank is taking charge. And when the bank demands notice come and still the person is not paying, then court action will follow.
Like, how much is the cost of a toilet?
In USD, we are looking at 550. Yeah, USD, 550.
They pay in how many installments?
We are giving them 1 year to pay. So the reason why we are giving them 1 year is that we did some calculations on how much they spend on the poorly managed public toilet and the size of the household. And we get to see that they are rather spending more money in using the public facility than if they should pay to the bank. Because, for example, in a particular house that we did the calculation, a year, sorry I have to use cedis, the amount that they spend on the public facility is about 23,000 Ghana cedi. You can do the dollar equivalent by dividing it by 17. But, sorry, but currently, if they should go by the arrangement, it will take them about 6 months to pay because they have to pay $15,000, assuming it's dollars, $15,000 instead of $22,000. And after paying that, for the rest of their life, they are not going to make any payment. But this 22,000, every year, they have to pay. And because that is in cents, it's in coins, so they don't value that money is leaving them and they are wasting money. But later on when we did the calculation, most of them did appreciate that they are wasting money, and by investing in this facility, they stand to benefit from it.
Okay, I'm going to break up the math talk between you two. One other thing that these two have in common is they're trying to make their business models actively sustainable. And so that's another interesting thing you can ask them about on the side. Please, no more dollars and cents. I'm going to open it up to everybody here to maybe ask a couple of questions. I saw you in the back first, so maybe we'll take 3 in a go, and then we'll continue from there. Yes, please.
Okay. Merci, je suis Abay Amin, conseiller régional d'Anouakchott en Mauritanie. Je posais la question en français, si vous me permettez.
I'm going to be speaking in French. Thank you very much for your presentation and congratulations for this project, which contributes to improving the quality of life of the beneficiaries. I would like to know, regarding these bathrooms, how often do you empty the... How often do you empty the deposit? I don't know if it takes 1 month, a couple of months, and who pays for the cleaning and emptying of the tanks? I hope the question was clear. Thank you.
Okay. No, we're gonna take 3 in a go. Let's see. I'm gonna hold on. I'll come to you. Yes.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you all. I have a question regarding the first presentation. I am from Ecuador, from Cuenca, a city called Cuenca, and we are very much focused in the agro-food sector. Is there any public policy to tackle the challenge related to food production? What is the budget allocated to such policy? And is there any support mechanism? Is there any technician who's an expert in the topic to ensure, for example, that the water used is clean, chemicals-free, so that citizens can be sure of buying safe and agro-food and clean food products?
I'm gonna take 4 in a go, and then David.
Thank you very much. My name is Bonzo Sesibe. I work with the local authority of Kumasi in Ghana. And I have a question for the first presentation. I understand that this is a social program that you're running, but I'm just battling in my mind that how are you ensuring that you have something for the management and maintenance of the cold room? Because I know that you've put money into its establishment, and to ensure sustainability, do you have any mechanism who is paying for its maintenance and management? Just that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is David from Kigali, Kigali Project Supervisor for the Global Mayors Challenge project. My question, I have only 2 questions. One is for Joshua, another one is for a person from Lokera. First, from Ghana, I really congratulate you for having thought about, most of the projects that failed, we don't give the ownership and responsibility to the community that we are serving. So for your project, I think they thought about the component of giving the ownership and the responsibility. This component is about revolving and refunding. It's not just building them the toilets, it's you give them a loan and build what they want to build and use, but later on they know that they have to repair. So this gives a sense of responsibility and ownership. I think most of the projects that we are introducing, we need to think about that. This I talk because in the perspective of Kigali, now the policy of the city is that they don't just rebuild for people. They need to build and people take the responsibility. So I would want to ask Joshua that how do you do this to make sure that these people really pay this amount? I know it's not a lot, but do you do some mortgages with the bank? Do you have some agreements? At what certain rates, interest rates do you have? Or it's just the down payment and just stops like that? So I need to know that mechanism that you use so that these people can repay, and after that you can take them to the court. Then for the Roquera, I think it's one of the questions that he has asked about the maintenance. You know, right now we have the money from the UNDP. You can maintain, and you showed us how they are earning. Now they are earning around more than the money that they were earning before. But later on, if the money we have used it, and they have to maintain with the coolers and the houses they have built, how are you going to make sure that these, you know, the houses and the cooler, they need electricity, they need, you know, the repairs and everything like that. So how are you going to continue for sustainability for that? I think that's a question that you have to answer for, maybe to see the project has to continue with the progress and the working. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so Joshua, let's start with you. I'm tracking 2 questions around payments.
Yeah. So the first one is about the emptying. How often or regular do we empty it? This is a different technology. We call it biodigester wash facility. With respect to the biodigester wash facilities, we don't have the water retaining in the containment that contain the fecal sludge. So when it happens that way, it dries away, then it's used with other material to become a manure for agricultural purposes. And for this design that we are building, we are looking at 7 years for the emptying. So we don't have to do dislodging because the water dries away. Then we come to the rates at which we are given. Because the city has given the bank part of the funding from the Global Mayors Challenge, that's the Bloomberg Philanthropies. Normally the interest rate in Ghana is around 32, between 29 and 32. Something that during the co-creation of this project with the community, they made us aware that they can't pay. So, and it's a Muslim community too, who do not believe in interest rate. So what happened was that we have to waive off that rate, but rather discuss with the bank the cost of operation, which the bank agreed that, okay, for going around to collect the money, they will take 10%. And we discussed with the community, and the community say it's a fair deal. They are willing to pay that 10%. Then when it comes to maintenance, maintenance is not the responsibility of the project. The project by next year will be ending. So as part of this project, what we do, we have user education component that after the construction and during the handing over, like we saw the Zongo chief and my team were doing, we try to educate them as to how to use the facility and how to maintain it. So that maintenance component becomes their responsibility. All that they need to do is that they have to ensure that they use it as we have indicated. And fortunately, the city have the environmental health officers who do go around every day to inspect such facilities for us. David, I don't know whether I've answered your question.
I think that was it. And then, Bevan, do you want to answer? There was 2, one about food production and food quality, and then maintenance costs for cold rooms.
So the question from Ecuador was like, is there any public policy regarding food production? So Odisha government is helping farmers with help of NGOs to do cluster farming and production planning. So they will tell the farmers like which are high value crops, which are good seeds they can buy. So this kind of informations are given to the farmers. So they plan like this season I will grow this much of tomato, and then they would cluster farming, bringing many farmers together in one place. So there will be bulk sale of vegetables possible. And regarding quality, at city level, we have a food safety department from the Roquela Municipal Corporation. So they do regular checkup, even in our cold rooms, to make sure that hygiene is proper. So there's a system in place. Second question was regarding the maintenance and operation after the project leave. So what we have done is that at first we have included a 5-year maintenance agreement with the manufacturers. So for first 5 years, that is taken care, like entire manufacture, maintenance and any defects. And what we have done now is that the amount which the women are earning, around 5% of money is given to the RMC. There's an account especially for that. So money is being fed into that as a contingency fund in case of like big repairs to be done with the project. So we have put that into factor. And regarding operational expenses, so the operational expenses are coming around, other than the maintenance, the cost of manpower and everything is like 60,000. And right now, the total amount they are earning has become 90,000. So it's more than the operational expenses. So that makes sure that the project will run sustainably.
Okay, I'll take one last question before we turn to Angela's presentation, and then I promise we'll take more questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My question will be directed to board presenters. My name is Gordon Mboli from the Kingdom of Swaziland. Firstly, on the, okay, I would like to know, especially on the mayor's challenge, global challenge, more about it, or how one could access the funds for that project. But on the first issue, on the solar powered storage, cold storage at the market, you are talking of farmers bringing in the produce to the vendors at the market, and how are they, how is the vendors organized to collect the waste from the farmers outside the urban area? Because my thinking was for municipalities, their operations end within the urban space, and if now you involve people outside the urban space, how is that done, and how do you have control over those people who are not part of the urban space? The second question is direct to the project, nice project from Kumasi. Again, I have the challenge with regards to, I hear before you access the funds, the chief has to sign something so that to ensure that more of a collateral. But then the question is, in an urban space, we don't deal with chiefs. The chief in the urban space is the mayor or the ward council. So if you bring, because once it's declared an urban space, the administration of that area is managed by the mayor, councillors, and the administration of that. But then you bring in a chief. Where does he fit in the scheme of things here? Because he's not supposed to be here. His or hers is outside the urban space where he's responsible for that community. And the community in the urban space is responsible, is the ward councillor who is responsible for that. So he's the only one who can organize the community within the urban space where he is. And then he will be the one, then with the mayor and with other people working with him, then you work. But if you involve someone from outside, how does that happen? Thank you so much.
I know you all have lots of questions. I'm so sorry. We're just going to take this one, and then we'll hear from Bogota, and then we'll come back. Okay, promise. Joshua, do you want to take the chief question first?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really share your sentiment, but you know, local governance structures vary from one place to another. If you've heard of the Ashanti Kingdom, yeah, it plays a very important role in Kumasi. But even it's not the king that signs. This one is a very far less sub-chief who signs. But one thing is that the local council and the mayor, they have tenure of office. So when they sign and they are no more there, you can't hold them responsible. But the chiefs don't have tenure of office. They are there for the rest of their life. And when it comes to that urban space, the chief wields a lot of power when it comes to these issues related to financial matters and the rest. Normally, the states come in, that's the government come in when it comes to criminal issues. But when it comes to money issues and the rest, the first point of call is the chief. Because if you should bring in the state to arrest somebody, the chief will ask you, why didn't you get in touch with me? And let's see how we can mobilize that resources instead of coming to arrest the person. That's why we are focusing on the chiefs. A classical example is that when we started this project, the city councillor who was there lost his election just 6 months ago. So assuming he has signed, he's no more in office. He's a new city councillor. So this project, although the mayor is the one championing it, like David said, we want to bury it in the community. So that in future, if I'm no more there, the mayor is no more there, the community have ownership of it. And because the chief's tenure of office is lasting, it's more reliable to get them to guarantee for us than any politician, if I may put it.
Okay, so longevity and community ownership. Yes, Bevan?
And I don't know if I understood the question right, like the farmers are outside the municipality area and how we have control over them. So,
can I take it? I think I understand. It's an offering to farmers, right? So it's the cold storage is made available to them, but they need not be under the municipality necessarily, right? Because if they were employees or expected to deliver a specific amount, then you would need some level of control. But in this situation, it's that the cold storage is available. Farmers can choose to use it. And so it's a true test of the market, right? Does it add value for them? Does it increase their income? Does it increase the longevity of their vegetables? And if it does, farmers will opt into using it, but there's no mechanism of control per se or formal authority. Yeah? Okay, I know, I'm so sorry. I will come to you after, but for right now, we're gonna turn to Ángela Portola, who's going to take us through the project in Bogotá, which is very interesting. She will be presenting in Spanish, so if you'd like to take a moment to set yourself up, please do.
Hola, nuevamente me presento. Mi nombre es Ángela Portela.
Hello, this is Ángela Portela. I'm part of the team with the Home Assistance Project in Bogotá, Colombia. So I'll give you some context along the lines of the presentations of my colleagues. And Bogotá is the capital of Colombia. 53% are women, 47% are men, and 6.41% are people with disability. It's important to take this into account because these populations have been left behind and they do not have the resources from the programs. In 2024, the public investment per capita is $180 per citizen. This budget covers infrastructure mainly, but also public transportation and some social projects. So Bogotá at this moment is one of the main cities in establishing a care system in Latin America, and this care system is mainly for caregivers who are mostly women. This model aims at contributing to gender equality and equal opportunities through an institutional service offering of a care system with the aim of acknowledging, redistributing this unremunerated work. Since 2020, 23 blocks of care have been implemented. These are specific spaces where women can go to study, find employment. They can even go wash their clothes and the clothes of their families in community laundromats to reduce the burden of these tasks that are carried out at home. And aside from these blocks of care, these infrastructures in different areas of Bogota, we also have the care buses. The care buses are a care system for those women who are not close to these blocks, and buses go to their neighborhoods where for those people who cannot reach these blocks of care. And we are also running the home assistance project funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies and the UNDP related to the Global Mayors Challenge. So what do we want to solve? The time poverty of women, which is a structural cause of gender inequality. The unremunerated burden of care falls on women at alarming figures. 30% of the female population in Bogota are non-remunerated caregivers who provide care 100% of their time. 90% of them low income, 33% of them do not have time for their personal care, and 70% have not studied beyond high school. As I said, in 2020, we created these blocks of care to be able to provide care to these situations, but it was a situation that had not been resolved. 14% of these women cannot access these blocks of care or the buses of care. Why is that? Because they are providing care for a person with disability or an elderly person, and this means they cannot leave their home, given the health and mobility complexities of these persons that they provide care for. So then we worked on establishing this solution through the home care or home assistance program. We try to alleviate the burden of these women going to their homes and providing professional care with caregiving services and independence promotion services for the disabled persons or elderly persons that they care for, and they receive help at home. And there are also other services that can contribute to their quality of life. And the program as such is made up of 4 specific services. The first one is home care. A professional goes to the home to help people with disability, to work with the people with disability, and the caregiving women can carry out other activities that are also offered by the program. One of them is the certification of knowledge. This certification aims at recognizing the caregiving knowledge of these women that for a long time, that they've been implementing for a very long time, and through a public educational offering is being acknowledged. They are giving a certificate, a diploma. There's a procedure by which their knowledge is validated, and at the end they graduate, they obtain their diploma, and their knowledge is certified, validated. The third service is legal counseling. This service aims at offering legal support for these women because many of them do not know what their rights are and the rights of the disabled person. What happens in this case is that in Colombia, Bogota, you need a disability certificate so that these people can access benefits and free services. Many of the people we've worked with do not have that certificate, and a lawyer will accompany and support those processes so that they can obtain those certificates and they can improve their connection to the rights system, the welfare system, and they themselves can access decision-making processes, for example, when it comes to the right to receive medications or certain tools for persons with disability. And finally, we have the cultural transformation service. This service also reaches the homes of the women, and it is a specific service to raise awareness, to generate a reflection in each and every home. with the idea of doing away with the imaginaries of female roles, this idea that women are the only caregivers in the family. With 1 or 2 workshops, we do an awareness raising process of what it means that there are other people in the home that can help provide care and do house chores. These are the 4 services the program is made up of. Here we have a map of Bogota. Bogota is large, and the service has been provided in a staged manner in 4 cycles specifically. We group neighborhoods that are closer together to be able to provide the service in the best possible way because of the long distances and the difficulty to make professionals reach every home. At this moment, results, well, we've implemented cycle 1, 2, and 3. And at this point, we've provided care to 287 caregivers with 304 disabled persons with disability. And 14,196 hours have been freed up in the first cycle, 102 caregivers, 109 disabled persons. In cycle 2, 89 caregivers, 98 persons with disability. And in cycle 3, 90 caregivers, 97 persons with disability. All of them have participated in the different services to a greater or lesser degree. And we have reached the goal of them participating in every space we've prepared for them. Continuing with the results, within the actions we've carried out. Oh, I forgot to say that at the moment we are implementing the 4th cycle. In this 4th cycle, we've worked with 82 caregivers, 100 people with disability, and the results we've seen through the implementation of the program are that we have gotten more recognition. That is, women acknowledge themselves, recognize themselves, they feel visibilized by the program. There's a self-recognition that their task is very valuable and important, both for the lives of their family members, the people with disability they care for, but also for society. And thanks to these graduations, these certifications, they've been able to validate their knowledge. They feel recognized by society. They know they fulfill this very important role as caregivers. The second result is a greater redistribution. How have we managed this? Professionals who work alongside people with disability, they have tried to improve their capabilities, generating autonomy. Things as simple as tying your own shoelaces, getting dressed, feeding yourself. This means there's been a redistribution of caregiving time, giving more time to the caregiver. Roles have been redistributed. Many of these families are single-parent families. There's no one else who can help. And so this redistribution is important. It also happens when there are more members of the family unit. We also need redistribution of the burden so that it does not fall on one single person. And then reduction of the excess burden. Caregivers saw a reduction in their degree of excess burden, of non-remunerated work. Every week, they enjoy 4 hours of a professional helping them, and they can carry out other activities that they want to carry out. They can even continue with their work. Many of them are entrepreneurs. They work from home, and they take this time to be able to do other things that they need to do. And challenges and lessons learned. One of the greatest challenges was focusing on the population. That 14% that I mentioned was in all of Bogota, disseminated through Bogota, so we had to focus and categorize the population. We categorized understanding what are the characteristics of the persons with disability. And under these characteristics of the persons with disability, we were able to create the methodology so that the professionals who go to the households could carry out the necessary specific actions for those specific people. This was a challenge. Doing it in a staged and organized manner was a challenge. We also had the challenge of the fact that populations in Bogota are very different, so we had to analyze different realities so that the services and the stakeholders could give answers, could attend to those needs. Providing simultaneous services. We are 4 services in one program, several people interacting all the time with the families. WhatsApp, I think we discussed it already, it's very important. That direct communication that we have, writing, telling them, showing them who we are, the team that we have for so many actions. They can see it through WhatsApp and they can ask any necessary questions because we're always available at the other end of the phone, each and every one of us in the program. And also having constant information on results, doing a follow-up of the professionals who go to the households, how they're doing, these 12 sessions that they carry out. It was very important. We designed a follow-up and monitoring system with the guidance of the Women's Secretariat, because all of this is also framed within district unions of the municipality. This is an idea of the Town Council of Bogota, which is becoming bigger and bigger. Next steps. First, completing the 4th cycle. We will finish the project in December 2024. We need to organize all of the information because we have stories of the families that are very important documents that are and will be part of the story of this program, and they will be delivered or submitted to every person who participated in this program. Secondly, sustainability actions of the program. This is a costly program because providing care for people with disability has a very high cost. There are many professionals, a very big deployment of specialized professionals. So we are reassessing with the Secretariat of Women, with the UNDP, with Bloomberg Philanthropies. We're analyzing how to continue providing services at a lower cost. We are running a pilot at the moment where we're not going to the households, but there is a transport that goes there, picks up the person, takes them to the block of care where all services are combined. And this allows us to have this tool, this transportation method to move people around, to take them to the blocks of care. And there they can continue to use the services, and there they can have the help of a professional for people with disability. And finally, next steps, communicating results obtained. There is an assessment of impact that is being carried out of the project to find out the impact of the project in the lives of the persons. This assessment is still underway, and in January 2025, we hope to have the results so that we can tell you all what were the impacts, the actual impacts of the program. And the challenges are being able to make headway with intersectorial communication, to be able to coordinate actions for care for caregivers and people with disability, with the Secretariat of Women providing guidance, strengthening interinstitutional coordination to offer complete and integrated solutions for caregivers and people with disability, and promoting that this initiative is included in the political agenda so it does not depend on political will. And these are the pictures. As Diana said, an image is worth 1,000 words. I think one of the most beautiful things is having seen these women graduate, having a certificate, a degree. Many of them have never attended university, and being able to wear the cap and gown gives them a wonderful opportunity of recognition, and this is visible in all of the actions they've carried out. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have time for more questions. Yes, Roberto.
Fascinating and wonderful program. Congratulations. I'm still processing. This is fantastic. I was wondering about a couple things. One, when it comes to designing these manzanas de cuidado, what do they look like? Like how is your Department of Planning or Housing, or how do you design it in a way that is welcoming to the people who are going to be using them, and also knowing that I'm assuming the vast majority of the people attending those manzanas de cuidado, the buses, etc., are women. How you guys think about safety, and security to keep folks protected? And then the other question I had, because I think definitely every city should be a city of caring and should have the funds, and you shouldn't have to be fighting for this. Have you ever thought about, or are you thinking about organizing the women that you have served to create some, mobilization, pressure, advocacy, so the push is not just you and your colleagues, but it comes also from the bottom up, and people hear, all the benefits and put the money behind it.
Marielle?
Hi. Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. I'm Maria Alejandra Rico, and I work for United Global Citizens and Citizens. I'll speak in Spanish to offer more plurality, and also from my colleague from Bogota. I have 3 questions for the 3 speakers. The first one is, what did you learn internally? What did the city learn from this process? Angela talked about the interinstitutional coordination. You saw new public services were created based on these, and new needs for public services stemmed from this. Did you see new approaches for these public services, new people to reach? Did you identify new things? I'm very much interested in knowing inwards. Outwards, the impact is impressive, and I congratulate you all. But what happens inwards, inside the municipality? My second question, and this is related to the impact. This is a session of SDG Local Solutions. In the process, beyond the SDGs that you focused on, what other SDGs did you see that could be linked to these processes? Because SDGs are always a platform, and these local actions are always a platform, not for one SDG specifically, but to be able to tackle different aspects. And the third question, and I think it was partially answered by Angela in her presentation, is after, and well, also the colleague from Kumasi, what happens afterwards? What is the sustainability of all of this regarding ownership and the appropriation of citizens beyond municipalities and political matters? How are you seeing how do you think this process that you started can be more sustainable? Thank you.
Okay, I think we have Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and I am so sorry, 1 question each.
Okay, so I'm Brenda Dimas. I'm from the Butuan City Global Mayor's Challenge in the Philippines. So I'm the project supervisor. So I would just like to commend all 3 for the impressive work in serving underserved communities in your city. So my question is directed to Angela. So I think it's similar to the question of our most recent question. Sorry. So you mentioned that the facilities, the care blocks, are in the blocks of care, and the care buses are very expensive, and you're currently piloting how to reduce the cost. But are there any policy from the city to institutionalize this project? Because I believe this is currently either partly or wholly funded by the Bloomberg Philanthropies prize money. And also, like with the graduates, like what are also the policy of the city to support them, so since they already graduated and have their certificates, so that they can also use those certificates to earn more aside from the services that they provide in their households?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Abdullahi Chouaib. Je viens de Nouakchott.
Hello, I'm Abdullahi. I come from the region of Mauritania. I have a question for the last presenter, and I wanted to know whether the people who use this service are people who've had accidents or people who are very ill or very old persons who use these services, these healthcare services. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Angela. I think you have given us a very exciting presentation. Congratulations. My question is just one. I see this as one of those very impactful projects that can actually be even become like a universal example of how to actually manage some of the knowledge that you've had come out of this project. But I'm just wondering whether you've thought about how you can engage more institutions, more local governments to embed this knowledge. Have you thought about forming maybe a community of practice so that it can help in maybe scaling up of the products, of the impact, of the successes of this program? Because I think you cannot just let it loose. It's really fundamental, quite profound to see such, it looks simple, but with very great magnitude. Thank you.
Okay, Grace, last question.
Thank you. We know that there is an open call for cities to apply for a GMC 2025, and I'm curious for cities that are considering applying for the Global Mayor's Challenge, could you share how the program has either helped accelerate the impact that your residents are feeling or helped you implement your project in the first place? Thank you for your presentations.
Okay, so maybe we start with Angela, and then we'll come to you too for each of your questions, because you have a few.
Listo.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a very interesting question. Now, the design of the care units corresponds to one of the mandates of Bogota City Council, and the design was a robust one because, of course, we do not have an infrastructure. There is no money to invest in infrastructure, so we decided to leverage on the existing ones to enhance and promote social integration, right? In areas where there are already facilities where activities can be organized, but we wanted to, let's say, reshape them to bring in women and their families. Not only women, but also their families, the children, adults, the elderly, and not only women, also men, because within the program we have realized that there is a little percentage of caregivers, of men who act as caregivers. So these units are open to them. The infrastructure already existed. Of course, we've had to invest in order to adapt the infrastructure. As I said before, community laundrettes, which are incredible. We tend to believe that we all have washing machines at home, but in my country, not everyone does. So going to a public laundrette where you can wash and dry your clothes. In our culture, we do not dry clothes. We do not use dryers, rather, automatic dryers. We dry it in the sun. So the infrastructure had to be adapted, but it already existed. We didn't have to build it from scratch, right? So sometimes we don't tend to think about to what extent women need this infrastructure. So we've had to reshape it. It is a matter of articulating institutions within the very same institutions so that all institutions offer their services to communities, individuals, in order to broaden the scope and contribute to improving the quality of life for all, also people living with handicap, who are oftentimes in the fringes because they are hidden, they are invisible, and we want to bring them back to the table. And this has been possible thanks to the unit, the caregivers unit. The infrastructure again is there. We're just investing to improve the conditions or the design of such infrastructures. It's been a process, a 3 years process, and we've moved little by little because, of course, there is a required investment which has had to be developed systematically, step by step, and we want to be sure that this infrastructure is kept in future, by future municipal leaders. Now, when it comes to the community approach, indeed, there is a massive need to upskill women so that they can, in the future, carry out these actions from a community lens. The project per se didn't include this specific aim, but we have realized that as we move forward in the project, we've realized that you can build synergies and support networks. So the capacity to guide women is a very core one. Thank you. So your question would be, what have we learned internally? This one is for us all, so help me. What have we learned throughout the project? So many things. We've learned about the needs of people living with handicap and the caregivers that support them. Their needs are quite specific, so probably one program is not enough because they need a lot of health support, occupational therapy. And we tend to focus on groups, on social groups. We want programs to focus on groups, but of course we realize that you need specific solutions because people who are living with handicap are very different one from another, are very heterogeneous, and of course they would perhaps need of tailor-made solutions. We've had to rethink everything from scratch. It's very difficult to do tailor-made approaches, right? So it's been one of the learnings. Bogota has a significant portfolio of programs promoted by different entities, but it turns out that they have to be further articulated.
Questions you've been tallying.
So the general question to the three of us, what do we learn? For the city of Kumasi, one thing that came out clearly for us is to co-create with the community when it comes to solutions. Often because we are college and university graduates, we have a shopping list of solutions that when we hear a problem, oh, okay, let's just go and provide infrastructure. You go and provide infrastructure after 2-3 days or a year, then they are having issues with it. But the Global Mayor's Challenge taught us to co-create with them. And it was through the co-creation that we got to see that they can't pay the interest rate of 32 or 29 to 32%. So the only thing that they can pay is 10%, which is the cost of operation for the bank. If we have not gone to the community, we'll be having the money sitting there and no one will come. So co-creation is very, very important. The second thing we learn is that when it comes to project implementation, we should start with the community from the beginning. We shouldn't wait and just hand over to them that, okay, this is your project. When it happens that when it comes to maintenance, they will tell us that, oh, it's the city council that came to put this structure there. So it's their responsibility to maintain. But when they are part of the implementation process, they get to learn and they develop sense of ownership for it. In terms of the second question, the SDGs, I think when it comes to water and sanitation, SDG 3, healthy. Yeah, good health and well-being also comes to play. Then we also have 13, that's climate change, because now it's properly managed. there's no release of methane gases into the atmosphere. Then also, when it comes to measuring poverty, access to water and sanitation to plays a role there. So by so doing, we are hitting a lot. Even when it comes to responsible consumption, because now the fecal sludge is being used by another company in making manure. We have Safisana that use the fecal sludge to make organic manure. We also have there's a company in Kumasi, Zoom Lion, who also rely on this fecal sludge in processing them for organic manure. So when it happens that way, there's responsible consumption, there's the circular economy, the closed loop. Then what is the sustainability of this project? That's the reason why we set up the revolving fund, but we not go subsidy. Because with subsidy, the money will finish, others will not get. But because it's revolving, when they paid, we are going to use it to construct for others. Then the artisans will now own the job. The reason being that they know when they construct, they know how much they are getting. So even when the city is not physically present in the community, they know the bank because the bank is situated in the community. Any landlord that is interested in such wash facility, they will lead the landlord to the bank. After the landlord signs with the bank, they are given the raw material, that's the construction material, sorry, they are given the construction material to use for construction. So when it happens that way, it will be circulating in the community. So all that the municipality have to play is just to play a supervisory role. And with that, like myself, that after this project, maybe I will go back to the municipality, I will play that role.
I will answer the question which Grace asked, like why GMC is. With this project, we get basically two things. One is the funding, and why funding is important. These projects are very innovative project, experimental project. For a municipality to invest in an experimental project, it is a bit hard, you know. Somebody would ask the commissioner, like, why did you invest on this project? You know, since it is an experimental, like, there is a chance that it might fail. So it's a possibility. So with this Bloomberg Philanthropies funding, you get a chance to experiment the idea, you know, make it possible. So that's the financial funding. And when it comes to municipality, we heard about the SDGs. There are many SDGs, many programs running, and they don't have the resource to just work on one project. So that's where the technical expertise, delivery associates, UNDP coming in, providing the technical knowledge to run the project. So they are with the project, innovating the project. So that's why the Global Mayor Challenge is a good thing that you should apply for in the coming session. Thank you.
Well, beautiful. I don't have to say any of that now. For anyone who works with cities, I would just encourage you to scan this QR code right here. This is the sign-up link for the 2025 Mayor's Challenge, which will be global again, as Bevan pointed out. It's open to any city with a population of 100,000 residents or more. And critically, what we are asking cities to do is to innovate on a core city service. So the services that cities provide that residents depend on a day-to-day basis, public transportation, public health, water, sanitation, power, livelihoods, you know, the very things that run people's lives. If you want to know more about what counts as a city service, come talk to me afterwards. I'm happy to chat a little bit more about it. But we really encourage you to share this with all the cities that you know. We will be selecting 25 winners who will each receive $1 million in funding, plus 2 full-time funded staff for the duration of the grant, plus all the technical expertise and advising that Bevan just shared and that the team shared. And I know there were many more questions, and we did not answer them all. But I think the good news is we're going to a coffee break. I'm looking at Deanna, she's not confirming. Coffee break? Yes, and these are great fodder for conversation over coffee or tea. So with that, thank you all. Thank you for the engagement, and we'll chat more.
But we're going to have only 15 minutes coffee, but will be better few minutes than none. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Diana. So in this session, we have looked at the importance of co-creation with our speakers highlighting the process of engaging and involving the community, noting that it's key to having a successful project implementation. They also highlighted the need to provide support and engage constantly with beneficiaries to keep citizens interested in the project and keep them involved in project implementation. They also spoke about the importance of building capacities in project implementation to equip community members with livelihood skills. And the project addressed key SDGs. This includes 2, 5, 6, and 18, which includes increase in income, gender equality, providing clean water and sanitation, decent work, and economic growth. The discussion also stressed the importance of creating database to inform project implementation and the need for extensive awareness raising to ensure community buy-in in projects. They also spoke about the leveraging on local and traditional authorities in ensuring effective implementation of projects and ensuring community ownership of projects. We also spoke about identifying mechanisms to put in place to ensure sustainability of projects. The importance of identifying key beneficiaries and developing a criteria for categorizing key beneficiaries is important and would also help to have tailor-made solutions. We also looked at the need to implement follow-up and monitoring systems when implementing projects. And from our members also raised the need to create knowledge sharing platforms to share knowledge generated from program implementations. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, because it's not easy job. So 15 minutes coffee and back at 4, please, colleague, thanks.